Morning, beloveds. I've swiped my husband's jacket today. His was on the shelf as I walked by, and I was like, it's a little cold in here. I'm going to borrow his. He just looked at me like, what? What are you doing? So, we went for a nice long bike ride, and it was a lot longer than I thought it was, and that's a good thing because Tom didn't have to go to work today, so he wasn't worried about me getting lost. So I was trying to get myself a nice route through the neighborhood. And, all right. It is January 15th. We are halfway through this month. And our total is, I lift up my cup of acceptance. And God is available to make all grace abound toward you, that ye, always having all sufficiency in all things, may abound to every good work. And that is from 2 Corinthians 9:8. We lift up our cup of acceptance to the divine bounty when we think affirmatively and give thanks to the giver of all life. Daily, we should practice affirming that our cup is filled and running over, always remembering that we affirm for what we affirm for ourselves, we must affirm for others. Living and letting live, giving and receiving, loving and being loved, our cup of acceptance must be filled from the horn of God's abundance. No, our cup of acceptance will be filled from the horn of God's abundance. Very important to make sure I got those words right. I am living in the continual expectancy that every good thing in my experience shall be multiplied. There is neither doubt nor uncertainty in my mind. Every denial is transformed into an affirmation. Every negation into an acceptance, every no into a yes. I know that the Spirit of God has made me, and the breath of the Almighty has given me life. I have complete confidence in this Spirit. I know that I am loved, that I am beloved and needed. I feel at home with God. Today is filled with blessings for myself and others. The past is gone, and I gladly loose it and let it go. The present is filled with peace and joy, and the future with hope. Gratefully, I accept the divine love and givingness and gladly extend them to everyone I meet. I am made whole with the wholeness of spirit. Gently, but with complete certainty, I am guided into right action and successful accomplishment of all good desires. This I accept, this I experience. All right. So I'm going to go back just for a minute to the middle, and then we'll go back through it. Every denial is transformed into an affirmation. Every negation into acceptance, every no into a yes. So that is one of the ways that practitioners help. Because frequently when people come to practitioners, they don't know what they want. And so what the practitioner will do is say, okay, what do you not want? What is it that you don't want? So if you want to try this for yourself, then that's what I would suggest is if you don't know what you want, list out all the things that you don't want. Make yourself a list. And then look at what the opposite is. Because once you narrow down, okay, this is what I don't want, then you can look at what you don't want and say, well, what is the opposite of this? And then you build your affirmation from there. We get so caught up in what we don't want that it's hard to look and see what we do. And sometimes it's hard to accept what we want. So it's like, okay, fine. Then start at the other end of the process. Start with what you don't want. Make a list of what you don't want, and then look at what the opposite is. Then build your affirmations from there. And start working towards what you do want, because you want your energy and your power to go at what you do want, not at what you don't want. You don't want to fight what you don't want. You just want to turn your energy and attention completely away from that and focus on what you do. But first you got to know what you want. So that's how you start. And I think that's a very powerful way to do this work when you're caught in that spiral of, I don't know what I want, but I don't like what's going on, and I don't know how to get out of it. Well, start with what you don't want and work your way to what you do, because what you don't want can often tell you what you do, because what you want is the absence of. So, if that makes sense. But that's one of the ways that practitioners are taught to help, is by, because people come in and they don't know what they want. Okay. Then I can't, until you can tell me what you want, it's hard for me to help you. So let me help you figure out what you don't want by starting with what. Let me start helping you figure out what you do want by helping you line out what you don't. So, the opposite of. So, I lift up my cup of acceptance. And I'm going to ask you straight up, how many of us have trouble with that cup of acceptance? How many of us are doers? How many of us are givers and we're not good at receiving? Can't pour from an empty cup. So, lift up your cup of acceptance. And God is able to make all grace abound toward you, that ye, always having all sufficiency in all things, may abound to every good work. You can't pour from an empty cup. God will give you all of the grace and the power to do the good works that you want to do. But you got to be willing to receive that power. Okay, we lift up our cup of acceptance to the divine bounty when we think affirmatively and give thanks to the giver of all life. There is very little more powerful than gratitude. Very little. That is often the first way, that is often a good first step in working through. When you don't feel good, you get up and you can either list out your aches or you can list out your gratitudes. It's like, okay, this hurts, this hurts, this hurts. No. The sun is shining. The birds are singing. There's a cool breeze. There's coffee in the kitchen. I can borrow my husband's jacket. I have warm cats that love to lay on me. Start there. Start with gratitude. And as you list them, you will feel better. I can guarantee that. I can guarantee that. Daily, we should practice affirming that our cup is filled and running over, which is the point of a gratitude journal. Absolutely, the point of a gratitude journal is to show yourself that your cup is running over. List all of the things, no matter how small, because in the long run, it's the small things that add up. It's the small things that make the big things in life worth it. Always remembering what we affirm for ourselves, we must affirm for others. That's a basic core principle of Science of Mind. If I want it for myself, I want it for everybody. I want everybody to be happy. I want everybody to be loved. I want everybody to be healthy. And that feels good to want that. Living and letting live, giving and receiving, loving and being loved. And that's important. Loving and being loved. There is nobody who is unlovable. And if you think you are, you're wrong. You are a child of God, and God loves you. So you are lovable. Our cup of acceptance will be filled from the horn of God's abundance. I am living in the continual expectancy that every good thing in my experience shall be multiplied. That's a good way to live. That's living in gratitude. There is neither doubt nor uncertainty in my mind. And I'm going to say when there is doubt and uncertainty, then you go back to your affirmations. We're human. It's going to happen. It's going to it's going to creep in there. I mean, probably one of the best teachers out there was Jesus, and he had his moments of doubt. But what did he do when he had his moments of doubt? He either went and prayed, or he went to somebody else and had them pray with him. I mean, that was the whole point of the garden. He went and prayed, and he had people pray with him. So when the doubt and uncertainty does creep in, reach out for that affirmation from yourself or from somebody that you love and trust. Okay. Every denial is transformed into an affirmative. That's what I was talking about. Start with what you don't want, figure out the opposite, create your affirmation from there. Every negation into an acceptance, every no into a yes. And the truth is God never says no. But sometimes the yeses take a little bit of time. And we can box ourselves out by getting too specific. So we state our desire, but not the how. Because when we state the how, we're creating our own no. All right, because that's not our job. I know that the Spirit of God has made me, and the breath of the Almighty has given me life. You need a power statement to get you going today? There it is. I know that the Spirit of God has made me. I know that the Spirit of God has made you. And the breath of the Almighty has given us life. I have complete confidence in this Spirit. I know that I am beloved and needed. I feel at home with God. And if you don't feel at home with God, that would, I don't know. If God knocked on your door, would you be willing to let him in? Him, her, it. Would you be, if God knocked on your door right now, would you welcome the Spirit in? And if you don't, if you're not willing, why not? And I'll straight up tell you that my house is the typical house of two very busy people, one of whom is an artist with, 6 cats living here. This place is a disaster. It's always a disaster. It rarely looks, what I would consider company presentable. But if God knocked on the door, by God, yes, I would let God in. Because I know that God isn't going to judge me. So that may be a place where you have some work to do. Trusting God not to judge you. All right. And I know that I am beloved and needed. God couldn't do it without you. Spirit, you're here for a reason. And the only reason, there's no grand purpose. The reason you're here is so that Spirit can have the experiences that you are having. You are loved and needed. Today is filled with blessings for myself and others. The past is gone, and I gladly loose it and let it go. Turn the page. The present is filled with peace and joy, and the future with hope. Gratefully, I accept the divine love and givingness and gladly extend them to everyone I meet. And I like that he uses divine love, both capital, and givingness is also capital. So what I am extending is not coming from me, but through me. I am accepting and extending the divine love and the divine givingness. So it's not coming from me. It is not coming from my resources, but it is coming through me. And the amazing thing about allowing that to come through you is you get so much more. You get so much more. Because when you're stingy with that, it kind of backs up and stagnates. But when you let it come through you, it's fresh and it's clear and it's refreshing, and it multiplies and it cleans and clears as it comes through. I mean, it truly is a gift. So spread that stuff around. I am made whole with the wholeness of spirit. Gently, but with complete certainty, I am guided into right action and successful accomplishment of all good desires. This I accept, this I experience. So I like today he says gently, but with complete certainty I am guided. Sometimes he's like, you're guided. Today he's like, you're gently guided. So your mission today is exactly what the title is. Your mission today, our mission today, should we choose to accept it, is to lift up our cup of acceptance to that divine love, to that divine giving, to that divine experience. To lift up that cup of acceptance and let it be filled. Because the truth is as it overflows, that's what we're sharing. That's what we're sharing. And the only way it won't overflow is if we don't lift it up to begin with. And you can make that cup as big or as little as you want. But why not go big? Why not go big? All right. Well. As always, I encourage you to do something loving for yourself, do something kind for yourself, do something compassionate for yourself today and every day. And lifting up that cup of acceptance is definitely a kindness for yourself, to recognize that it's coming through you always, and that there's always enough and more than enough to share. So, do something to engage your mind and your body. I went for a nice long bike ride, and it definitely helped to clear my head this morning. So, yeah. And it's a bit, I mean, it's winter, it's January. I'm not going to encourage you to open your windows. I do encourage you to get some fresh air, though. Because while it is cold out there, it is clear out there. It's beautiful. Go get a little sun on your face. But open the windows of your soul. Allow that breath of heaven to remind you, you live in heaven now. You are a beloved child of spirit, in whom spirit is well pleased. Always. As Ernest said today, you are beloved and needed. Right here, right now. So, Reverend David will be on with you around 5 p.m. I will be back with you around 9 a.m. There will be squirrels tomorrow, I hope. So, you may get to hear some park fun. But do what you need to do to make it a fantastic day, beloveds.